Hello and welcome to Super Lady Hero Hour here on Fanversation. As always, I am your host, Yel Teagle, and I'm joined by the incredible KB. Hello, KB.
Hello to the wonderful Yel. How are you today?
Doing great. So excited. We have a lot to talk about.
I mean, honestly, though, I feel like we have less than normal because, we have less shows than normal. But today we're going to be talking about Invincible, which is a favorite of ours, and the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, The Flash, and Supergirl. But before that, let's get into some news. So if you have not heard by now, the Trench and New Gods are not moving forward at DC Warner Brother Films. Sucks. And it's reportedly because, they just had the Snyder Cut. And the Snyder Cut, did a lot of the dark side lore. And so they're just going to put it on pause. What I do appreciate, though, is that, Warner Brothers did put out a statement and say if they decide to move forward with these films, then the two creatives attached to it will remain. So they're not going to switch that up, which is great, just because I feel like they had a vision for these two films that would have been really great to see. But I also feel like we see all the same villains all the time. So I'm sure we could do something. And also, since technically, I guess, the Snyder Cut is not really in the DCEU, then why couldn't we? But yeah.
All great questions. Over on the Marvel side, we got some trailers this week. If you have not yet seen the Black Widow or Loki trailer, both of those are linked below, available on fanversation.com to check them out. But let's start with the Black Widow trailer. What did you think? How you feeling?
Oh, I feel the same way I've felt the entire time. I have no excitement or feelings around this film. I just feel like it's just too late for me. So in my mind, I've already moved on. I say all that to say, if you're following me on Twitter, or if we're friends IRL, then I'm obsessed with The Mummy. It's actually one of my favorite movies of all time. So I adore Rachel Weisz. However, I do. I feel like that type of chemistry doesn't exist anymore in films, between her and Brendan Fraser. And so I'm just like, oh my gosh, adore. And so I am curious to see kind of what these new characters bring, in the sense that obviously it takes place in the past. So I don't know what that means for them moving forward. But my excitement about it is still pretty even keeled. So what about you? How do you feel about the trailer?
I'm excited about it. Look, I want to see this movie. That's it. Everyone knows how impatient I am, because you've either seen me on anything, or you've heard, or you've been on my Twitter. I'm impatient and I just want to see it. And it looks like it's going to be a fun action movie, which is what I want. I want a fun action movie. And so I just want to see it.
I mean, I will, of course, hold my opinions, and obviously, if my opinion changes based on seeing it, and then all of a sudden I'm like, wowed. But I am wowed about Rachel. So, I think that's it. I am, though, however, getting into Loki, what feels like 100 times more excited. Yes. I have been super excited about Loki from the moment. Also, he's one of my favorite villains in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And so I adore Tom Hiddleston. And so this time traveling kookiness, which a lot of people brought up on Twitter, really just feels a lot like DC's Legend of Tomorrow, is just going to be so exciting for me. And then also Wumi's in it, Sasha's in it, Gugu's in it, which I'm thrilled to see those three Black women on screen in this as well. And yeah, I've always been excited for Loki, and this trailer was bomb. And it looks like we may see we had a little teaser that, maybe Miss Black Widow is in there in the film as well. We did see that, but we also know that this is a time traveling movie. So literally anything is possible.
Time traveling show.
Well, show, sorry. Yes. Time traveling series. So we know that anything is possible, but we also know that does not mean that Black Widow will be back in full form. I don't want to assume that. Can't assume.
Right. I'm so excited about this. Honestly, when everything was announced way back when that all these, little shows were about to come out, I was most excited about WandaVision. I was like, all right, okay, Loki. The more I see, the more excited I am. I love time travel. Anyone who's heard me in the past few weeks knows that I would not shut up about 12 Monkeys. Like, I love a time travel show. So I'm here for that. I'm not a Hiddleston or whatever they're called. Like, I like Tom Hiddleston. I think he's a great actor. I like the character of Loki. I think it's interesting and fun. This is not my fandom. I'm excited about the show. It looks good. I like the idea that it's time travel. Therefore, we can see people who are dead because we're hopping through time.
Yeah.
This trailer is impressive. I'm very excited about this. I imagine that Loki will result in the same kind of internet shenanigans that WandaVision did, with weekly deep dive theories, nitpicky Easter eggs. I imagine we're going to go back to that with Loki in a way that we're not doing with Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Yeah, so I will say when they announced all the shows, Loki was my top one. So that's why, my interest is all the way already there. So I'm kind of like, yay, let's get to that one. Because that's the one that I'm most thrilled about. It's already been. Plus, that soundtrack in this trailer also bomb. And so I'm just like, you guys are really selling me on this series when, quite frankly, you didn't even have to. So, right. Because this is my fandom. So I was like, you could have said anything and I would have been like, I'm in. So yeah, definitely looking forward to that for sure. So moving over to a new studio or another studio with a new superhero series with the trailer that just dropped. So Jupiter's Legacy is coming out on Netflix, rapidly approaching because it's only 1 month away. And I don't know. I'm kind of digging that it's kind of dark. Like it's not like super dark, but it's darker than I guess what we're kind of seeing currently in the superhero space on TV. Minus Invincible, I feel like nothing's as dark as that right now because it gets real dark real fast. But
yeah,
I'm digging it. I don't know. How are you feeling about the trailer?
I honestly, up until the trailer, I was like, whatever, this looks like another thing. And this trailer kind of sold me. It gives me, yes, definitely a dark, I feel almost not The Boys type of dark and absurd, but like there's something about this idea of superheroes and people living with them that's interesting. It almost also feels like I'm a big Sky High fan. So it feels like an adult dark version of Sky High.
Oh.
Like these are the kids of the superheroes now having to take over. It reminds me also of that other Netflix superhero show, We Could Be Heroes, where the little kids were the next generation. So I'm down. If you haven't watched the trailer, again, this one is available at fanversation.com. Link in the description below. But I was not excited, and this trailer kind of sold me on it. And now I want to see it.
I'm kind of curious because I think something that really hasn't been tapped into kind of in the superhero genre space is the aging of superheroes. And I think that's what most intrigues me about this show, because we don't really get to see them in the aging process or being elderly parents or grandparents or anything outside of just kind of their superhero prime. I'm going to put that in quotes. So it's kind of interesting to see them age and to see them kind of rear the next generation of superheroes in their own kids and what that looks like and also what that means for their careers, because they haven't completely stopped, but you can tell that they've slowed down from the trailer. So I am curious about that take. I think that that's what's most interesting to me about the potential of this show.
It almost reminds me of the Watchmen movie in that we saw the like generational bit of it. So there's a little bit of that in there as well.
Yeah, I'm curious. I mean, I'm like, y'all definitely sold me. I mean, I knew I was going to watch it regardless, like, to be honest, but I am like, oh, okay.
Yeah. So if you're watching us live and you have thoughts, let us know in the chat right now. If you're watching us later, be sure to check out those trailers, links below, and comment and let us know which of these. We said Jupiter's Legacy, Loki, and Black Widow. What are you looking forward to?
Yeah, let us know. Yeah, and tag us on Twitter, once you tell us kind of what's your favorite one or the one that you're most excited about. In final news, we just have some things are in production, super exciting. So Naomi for the CW by Ava DuVernay is in production as of yesterday. Production started, and then there have been photos that have been out. So I'm super excited about this one. And also, Yell is super excited about Powerpuff, and it is officially filming in Atlanta right now, as of today. The pilot is. So we'll have to see kind of what happens with these two and see if Powerpuff gets picked up to series based on this wild pilot that I'm sure that they're shooting now. Yep. And lastly, Black Adam has more people in it, which this is starting to feel a little bit like the Suicide Squad with the amount of people in it, because every day it feels like there's more casting. But I'm not mad at the diversity of casting that, you know, Dwayne Johnson has kind of put together for this project. So I won't complain about that, but it is funny. So anyway, you know, Dwayne Johnson has added Tony nominee James Kusati Moyer to the cast, of course. And, you know, he was actually seen last in Jeremy O. Harris's controversial play, Slave Play. And so super excited to kind of see, you know, where this goes. We have no idea what role he is going to be portraying quite yet. So they're keeping that pretty close to the chest. But yeah, excited that, you know, there's more casting going around for this. I'm excited to see this film in 2022. So I will not complain.
I'm excited to see the film as well. I am amused that it seems like every week we have new casting news from this movie. But those are the headlines. That's the news for this week. So before we dive into our shows, let us consider this your official spoiler warning. We are going to be talking about Supergirl, The Flash, Falcon and Winter Soldier, and Invincible. You have been warned. Let's jump into Supergirl first. Here is the quick cap for episode 2, A Few Good Women. While Lex faces trial for his crimes, John and Alex try to access the Phantom Zone to rescue Supergirl. What did you think of this episode? Now that it's the season premiere, essentially, this is where we would have started the season, I think.
Is it though? Because I don't know if they had. Well, no, seriously, I don't know if they had like 2 or 3 episodes disrupted by the virus. I'm not sure, or if it was just one. But I will say this episode was not for me. I didn't find it nearly as intriguing as the premiere. I didn't really like the pace. As I've mentioned before, Lex as a villain is kind of exhausting to me in the sense that like I'm not seeing anything fresh from Lex, and so this remains the same. Like, did I think Lex was actually going to go to prison? No. And so, you know, when that didn't happen, I was like, of course not. Like, it wasn't shocking, I guess, in any way. And so, you know, Kara being reunited with her father in the Phantom Zone, that was probably the most intriguing part of this for me. But otherwise, I really just felt like it was, you know, everyone was either focused on getting her out of the Phantom Zone, which I knew we were not going to have this episode. Like, it would have just happened too quickly. And or putting Lex behind bars, which I also knew wasn't going to happen. So I guess I just kind of was like, okay. I did kind of enjoy this vampire character. I wish he were actually a vampire. I don't know why, but maybe that would have made it more exciting for me. But yeah, I mean, overall, it was just okay. How did you feel about this episode?
I actually enjoyed this episode. The vampire was the most interesting part. I love the idea that the vampire stories came from this alien. Like, I think that's so cute. It reminds me of how on Grimm they used to be like, oh, well, this story is a thing, and historically it was a thing. Like, these were things in history. I like when a show will take a mythology and tie it into the show's reality. I think that's a really fun thing to do. So this vampire was by far the most interesting part of the episode. And if he does not return, then what a disappointment. I think the Phantoms being in the Phantom Zone is interesting and fun. I like the idea that there are Phantoms there. I agree. Lex again is like one of the most boring villains, and I wish that I honestly wish we had wrapped him up, like put him in jail, wrapped him up. That said, I could have sworn when we first started him this show, he was in prison and broke out. So like, even if he went to jail, it wouldn't have been the end, which is a bummer. So yeah, I enjoyed it. I did have some disappointment, but I did like this episode. I didn't mind it. I think Kara and her dad are kind of interesting. I think this is the first time we've really like seen him. So I like that idea that he's been stuck in the Phantom Zone. I love that the Phantom Zone got split up because of the crisis. I think that's fascinating. And I like that twist. I don't like that her dad is kind of a bummer. And I don't like that she's like, I got to get out and, you know, whatever. And he's like, no, it's safer to just let it be and live your life here. This is it. Like, really? Supergirl's dad is like, well,
he's like a pessimist.
He's a quitter.
And you're like, okay, maybe this is why she's so positive, but I don't know. Like, I mean, the fact that she clearly did not grow up with him, maybe that helps her chances, because he's definitely a pessimist for sure. Yeah, he's a Debbie Downer.
Yeah, I was very surprised about that, and it made me wonder, like, well, who would she have been had she grown up with him as a father?
Like, who would she have been like? What characteristics and kind of traits would she have picked up in her family, and from whom? And she maybe would have a bit more realism. Like, I think that what makes Supergirl is that, you know, she does have like this positive outlook on virtually everything. That's why she mirrors Barry Allen in so many ways, in the sense that like they view the world with such a lightness and, you know, over darkness. So it's interesting. Yeah, you're right. Who she would have become if she would have, you know, grown up with him.
Right.
But also, to be fair, he has been in the Phantom Zone for a very long time. So I don't know that I would be positive either if I had been trapped in this Phantom Zone. Like, I don't know, maybe I wouldn't be able to be positive either. I don't know.
Well, I mean, if that's the case, then I would love to see her evolve into, I'm going to call her Oliver Queen, because that's what I feel like. That's where I feel like she's headed. If she gets stuck
like
here,
a Phantom version.
Yeah, like just, you know, Debbie Downer, like, I'm doing what I can kind of guy. The way Oliver did from that island. Yeah, that was the episode, basically. There wasn't a lot going on. This weird dreamer, brainy situation. Like, I don't like him kind of mansplaining her powers to her. Like, let her train, let her get to it. He doesn't need to be all, you know, I got to help you because no one else will. Like, let her figure it out.
I mean, I feel like last episode, like, I was okay with them kind of reconciling and, you know, the forgiveness piece and like, let's move forward. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, on one hand, totally agree. I don't feel like any woman should be mansplained about anything. But on the other hand, he is an expert. So it's kind of hard because it's technically, I mean, he is brainy for a reason. So he is kind of an expert in some things that she just may not be aware of. So it's hard. But I think also because his personality is very, I don't know the word, like even tone, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just very, I think that like it also can come across in a way that is not meant to be mansplaining, but like there is no other tone for Franny. So.
She's like struggling because she's got this internal, you know, what if I fail? And he's like, look, you're not using your powers the way that I know you can. Here is how you do it. Like, sir, let her get there.
But also, it's totally fine to have that fear, to have that, you know, uncertainty, to have all of the emotions around the powers that Dreamer is having. So it's just like, oh, okay. But also, there's only one line with Brainy. So it's kind of like, he could be telling her that the sky is blue and it would still be like, the sky is blue. You know what I mean? Like, and you'd be like, oh, okay.
Absolutely. All right. Any other thoughts, or should we get to rating this episode?
Let's rate it.
I think I know where you stand on this, but how are you feeling? Because here we rate things on a scale from poop to kittens or a spoon in between. Where are you sitting?
Yeah, I'm gonna sit at a poop. This episode was definitely a poop for me because I did
Wow.
not really enjoy it. Again, the stuff with Kara and her father was like intriguing to me, but also didn't last like long enough for that to carry the episode for me, if that makes sense. And so, you know, the vampire's cool, but like will probably be underutilized and maybe in the next episode, but also may die based on that ending. So
Yeah.
I'm like, so yeah, for me, I did not really enjoy this episode at all. It actually took me a really long time to get through it because I was like, so I'm hoping that we do a couple of things. And one of those things would be get rid of Lex. I think that would be and not that the actor is doing a bad job. I just need more from the character, or I need the character to die. What about you? How are you rating this episode? Because you said you enjoyed it, so I think I know where you're headed.
Yeah, I'm giving it a kitten. This was a fun episode. It wasn't the best episode. It's not like, wow, I loved it, but I had a good time. I had a really good time. I think you're right. The vampire is probably dying next episode, which is a bummer because I really like him. But yeah, I'm giving it a kitten. I'm giving it a kitten.
Good. Okay, so what do you feel like is going to happen next episode apart from the vampire dying? Because I think we're both on one accord there. But.
Yeah, the vampire is going to unfortunately die. I think the Phantom Zone is going to be where we're going to be for these 4 episodes I think we have until we return to Superman and Lois. I assume Kara's staying there for the time being. This Lex, Lena, Mama Luther thing is like, who cares? Yeah, so I think my prediction is we're staying in the Phantom Zone for the next 4 episodes or until after Superman and Lois. What about you? What are your predictions?
Yeah. Maybe if they killed Mama Luther, it would be more intriguing because then it would create some sort of conflict between the siblings.
Ooh.
I don't know. Maybe. Yeah, I have 0 predictions. I have no idea where we're going to go. You know, Superman does not come back until May 18th, if I remember correctly. So we have a very long time to go. And I'm not entirely sure what that means for Supergirl and what that's going to mean for any of the characters. But I guess one prediction that will certainly be true is that Kara will come back to Earth.
Right.
And so will Kara have a job when she comes back to Earth? Now, that is a good question. Probably not, because, you know, she's been gone for a while. And quite frankly, William is probably going to take her spot. So here we are. You know, there we are. All right. So next, let's dive into The Flash. Here's the quick cap for episode 6, the one with the 90s. Cisco and Chester travel back in time and get stuck in 1998, repeating the same day over and over again. The key to returning home is at Chester's childhood home, but he refuses to visit. So how are you feeling about this 90s episode overall?
I enjoyed this episode a lot. I think the Cisco and Chester stuff was super fun. I enjoyed revisiting 98. I think that was a really a good time. I had a really fun time in this episode. I think the like Nora stuff is interesting. There was something about the way that Cisco was naming the different forces, something about the way Nora reacted that I went, something's off here. And the way that she was saying they're coming after her, but it then seemed that the time god didn't even know about her, didn't know about the others. There's something off about Nora. That's how I felt, but I did enjoy this episode. What did you think?
Yeah, I absolutely loved this episode. I had a fabulous time growing up in the 90s. 98 was a good time
year
for me. You know, I don't recall it being too tragic. And so, you know, I love seeing them in their bright clothing. I love the throwbacks to Blockbuster and pop culture references and music and t-shirts. I was like, oh, this is divine. The stuff with Chester's father was not as intriguing to me as it could have been. I am glad that he got that closure that he needed, but I kind of felt like it wasn't really necessary for us to go back to that specific date for him to heal in order to save this. Like, I didn't think those two connected well. Like, it was just kind of like, oh, we have to go back to December 4th, 1998 so that he can heal. It just was kind of like, what is the greater picture? And I don't think that was kind of necessarily clear.
Okay.
I had a great time in this episode, but I will say this thing where they just talk villains off the ledge. Gosh,
yeah,
I am like, I want that to end. Like this whole like pep talk thing, which is crazy because he gave the time god a pep talk, aka Dion, a pep talk. And then Dion was like, haha, whatever. And I was like, oh, yay, it didn't work. Actually, I was thrilled because I was like, I'm tired of these pep talks.
Yeah.
But then it worked, kind of. Like, Dion, the time god is still missing, but they get to go back to their normal lives. And I was like, oh, this ending is not what I expected. But
no, you make really great points. It was another talk him down, and his thing was like, "You're wrong," and then he was like, "I'm gonna go do this elsewhere." Like,
right.
What?
And I was like, "Wait, so wouldn't that like screw up time even worse?" But then they got back, so I was just like, this ending, my goodness, I don't know. But yeah, you're right. I mean, there's definitely something with Nora and Barry, because Barry is mad suspicious in a way that he's never been in all of the seasons. And quite frankly, it's dramatically different from his character because, again, like I was just talking about Kara, like Barry is such a light. He's always positive. He's always trusting people. And I get it. Like, granted, he's also a bit naive because he is constantly getting the wool pulled over his eyes.
Yeah.
But there is something with Nora, to your point, and how she reacted when they were naming them, but also how she reacted when she found out that like Barry's mom had been murdered. How do you not know that if you're the Speed Force? It's literally the key.
Right.
Like, that's weird. And then also when Iris invited her to stay at their home, Barry looked at her like, girl, we do not just invite people into our home without having conversation. Like, he looked at her like, I know you didn't just invite this Speed Force entity into our home. So it's something with the two of them that's real off. Like, and I don't know what it is. It's weird.
Yeah, it reminds me of before the reveal that Iris wasn't herself, that she was switched in the mirror, that I was like, she's obviously not her.
Yeah, I keep being like, this is not Barry. Yeah, like, but why wouldn't it be? It's so weird because it's like, I don't know, maybe this is still that same version that had too much Speed Force and like not enough empathy and or something. I don't know, but maybe. I don't know. I don't think there have been enough clues to tell us like what's happening. And then, you know, kind of elsewhere, there's just like Killer Frost and Caitlin learning how to cohabitate, which I was like, whatever, y'all. And then Killer Frost being like, I don't care, come after me. And I was like, cool, because you're gonna die. So here we are.
Yep, that's it. Let's rate this episode from poop to kittens. Where are you standing?
Yeah, so I really, really enjoyed this episode. I'm giving it a kitten. I had fun. Thank you for the 90s things that I want in life. I will say it definitely reminded me a lot of Doom Patrol and the street. Like that whole thing when they were trying to figure out like who was controlling it. It reminded me of Danny in that episode and that whole feel. It was very Doom Patrol-esque, which, you know, was mad at. So I adored it. So how about you? How are you rating this episode? How did you feel?
I'm also giving it a kitten. I had a great time. I loved the 90s references. I love time travel. It was really fun. I do think that this Nora and the time gods and like all of these forces thing we've named them now. There's maybe one more that we have to meet and then we're going to deal with it, I think. So let's get on with it.
I think you're right. I think I saw 5 flashes of lightning, I believe. So I think that we will meet the 5th one, probably next episode. If they're doing it right, who knows? But yeah, what are your predictions for next episode? How do you feel about where we're going with these, what are they called now? Forces, with these forces. I don't even know all of their names, but with the forces.
I think we'll meet the next one and then we'll find out what they want and that Nora's one of them and that the 5 of them need to come together to make a Megazord. I think that we're going to make our 90s references. I think that's where we're headed. I don't know what else is happening. I think the Frost thing, it's going to end up with her having to rejoin Caitlin so that she doesn't get in trouble or caught or whatever. I think it's odd that we have not seen Cisco's girlfriend, but have heard her name every episode. So, like, let's see what's happening. Let's have Iris go back to work. Let Iris work. What about you? What are your predictions?
You know how I feel about them naming people every episode and not being there. Like, I don't care. Don't tell me their names if I don't physically see them. I'm fine. But yeah, Iris was working last episode, wasn't she? I think she was. I don't know. Anyway, look, at the end of the day, I just feel like we need to know what's up here. And most importantly, we need to know what's up with Barry, because I am wildly confused. And then also, I guess, do we have our answer that Tom Cavanaugh's not coming back? I haven't seen any press on that at all. So, I mean, I guess there is no Wells this season. Like, what does that mean? Who knows? I don't know. But it was interesting because I was talking to a friend last night and they thought Bart was going to appear like sooner. And I was like, oh no, Bart's at the end. And I think we have a shortened season this year. So Bart's really at the end. So how all of this ties into Bart, I don't know. I feel like this was the 6th episode and I believe we're doing 18 this season.
Oh no, you froze.
No, I'm still here.
Okay, you said and I.
Oh no, it was just my brain moving a little bit slowly. Okay. So I think that we're doing 18, which means we only have 12 left. And I have no idea what's happening in terms of like the overall overarching story. So surprise. I don't know. Guess we're going to find out.
Yep, soon. We'll see. All right, let's move it along to Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Here's the quick cut for the 3rd episode, Power Broker. To find the source of the super soldier serum, Sam and Bucky must scale a ladder of lowlife starting in Mandrapore with Zemo. What did you think of this episode?
I thought that it was just okay. I feel like I'm being disappointed by the Falcon and the Winter Soldier in a lot of ways. And to be quite honest, I didn't have any expectations going in, but I feel like it's not very smooth. Like, things are happening, but what is the point? Like, we broke Zemo out when really the star and the true helper is Sharon. Like, we could have just actually used Sharon. We didn't actually need to break out Zemo. So like, what is the purpose there? I feel like Bucky didn't get a lot of lines and wasn't, as communicative in the films. Now Bucky is co-headlining a series and still barely talks. Or like when Bucky talks, he really doesn't say anything. I think that is poignant or really matters in the direction of where we're going. They often drop these nuggets about race that like, okay, what is the context? Where are we going with this? What are we doing? Isaiah as the first super soldier, aka the first true Captain America, being underutilized is a huge pain point of mine. And every episode, again, since y'all know how I feel about bringing people's names up and then not doing anything, they bring Isaiah up every episode and what? So I just feel like it's a lot of like, and then like Zemo telling Sam about Marvin Gaye's album and how it like really captures the African American experience. How would you know? You are not American and you're definitely not Black. So I'm confused about what's happening here. It just was like, so for me, Sharon really was the best part of this episode, period. I mean, in my personal opinion, and even she was grossly underutilized in a lot of ways and just left. And we're stuck with Zemo. And I was just like, I don't know. How did you feel about this episode?
I feel the same way I felt about the last 2 episodes. Is like, we're building something. Let's build it. Like, why are we taking so long to get to whatever it is we're going? And yes, I understand how TV works and that we need a journey. But like, we don't even know where we're going. We don't know what we're doing. We don't know where we're going. And I feel like we're missing a lot and moving very slowly. And I enjoyed it. I had fun. I loved the action sequences. Absolutely loved it. Watching Sharon kick ass was so fun. I would love more of that.
Yeah, I feel like, to your point, this is actually the mid-season point. This is the
Right.
mid-season finale, and I still know nothing. So I don't understand how I'm like, is truly it. Io is back. So, cool. Will Io be grossly underutilized? Potentially, mostly because that's what I'm seeing from all these characters. So I'm just kind of like, it just doesn't feel like a continuous story. But to your point, the action is always exciting.
Yes.
And yeah, that's all I got. So let's rate it.
I'm gonna go with a kitten. I had a good time. I mean, I have some complaints, but I had a good time. It was fun. Sharon was great. I loved seeing her. I love that she was promoted from the, well, not from the beginning, but I would say from the first trailer that dropped, we knew that she would be there. So the fact that it took us till the mid-season to get her is kind of sad. And that she then leaves. Are we not seeing her again? Is that it? Is this all we're using her for? Because that's a bummer. But I did enjoy myself. I'm giving it a kitten. What about you?
I'm giving it a spoon. I didn't hate it, but I still don't understand where we're going. I personally feel like I'm prepared for us never to see Sharon again in the series. Like, I'm just going to be prepared, just like we have not seen Isaiah again. I'm prepared that we won't see Sharon again. Mm-hmm. So I'm just going to, go ahead and do that. Yeah, I think my biggest issue is that I don't know how this is going to tie in overall too. That's like a huge concern for me.
Right.
But here we are with my spoon. So what do you predict will happen next week or this
I'm
week?
Throw some wild out. Sharon's the power broker.
Oh, cool. That's actually an interesting theory. And that would be amazing to see. Do I love that theory? Sure. Do I think that will happen?
No.
I don't know. My expectations are on the floor. So honestly, I don't know. I will say I'm curious to see, because I see now that they're trying to spin Carly even more as the villain, which, I'm not really loving, just because her intentions are good. And, here we are trying to do that. So I'm curious to see what happens. The hottie she was with, love to see more of him. And I just, who knows? Maybe what will happen is that Io kills Zemo as payback for, killing King T'Chaka, which I'm like, cool, that actually would make sense in so many ways. So maybe we'll get that. I don't know. But I feel like right now, how I feel about predictions on the show is so.
I think, honestly, the Carly thing feels like they were like, her intentions are good. What she wants is good. So it has to be, and I hope it turns out to be that, like, it's almost a Mirakuru thing, that the whatever version of super soldier serum they have is messing with her mind. And that's why she's gotten to the, casualties don't matter part of her thing. So I would like that.
I mean, really, what I'm hoping the reveal is that John Walker is truly the problem.
Oh, absolutely.
I want John to go. So maybe the reveal is John is the bad guy. I don't know. I'm tired.
Yeah, I get it.
All right. So lastly, let's dive into Invincible. I'm excited. Here's the quick cap for the episode, for the 4th episode, called Neil Armstrong, Eat Your Heart Out, which is ridiculous. It's 2 firsts for Mark, a first date and a first trip to another planet. At the same time, Nolan and Debbie revisit their own first vacation together. So how are you feeling about Invincible this week?
I think this was so far the least favorite episode, but still a great episode. But not the best.
Care to elaborate? Why do you?
I think that, it was a little bit boring compared to the previous episodes.
Got it.
I think the date stuff, I'm not a big fan of. That was not for me. I didn't really care. You know how I feel about emotions. I think the Nolan and Debbie thing the more we see them together, the more I'm like, how could she be with him?
Literally.
Specifically when they were on their date and the dragon, and he's like, I'm here with you. No. So that was annoying. The Mars stuff was interesting. But still, I would say my most disappointed episode so far.
Yeah, I will say this was the slowest episode. I'm kind of used to kind of the pace of the series now. Definitely the slowest episode. For me, just in general, I'm kind of always like, Debbie girl, now you know Nolan is peak fuckboy. Peak. And yeah, like, why would you be with him? He's terrible. For me, the dragon part, like, wasn't the real reason why he's terrible. Like, yeah, that was awful. But like, also superheroes need time off too. So like, I understand the dichotomy of both. But for me, it was mostly just like, she should have trusted her gut. Like, she makes a statement that, oh, after that first date, I was done with you. But then I saw you save kids on TV and I gave you another chance. Like, no, girl. You should have just immediately said no. That gut instinct, no. So, you know, I say that, but really we need Invincible. We need Mark's purity and we need Mark's, you know, heroism. But girl, you still need to run right now. It's never too late. So the Damian Darkblood stuff's always interesting to me because also Damian has pure intentions. And I love that, like, what we see here is that, you know, the feds know that Damian didn't do it. Actually, right now, they know technically that Nolan is the one who did it. But to keep up appearances, Cecil's like, oh, I got to send you back to hell. And I'm like, okay, well, we know where Cecil's allegiance lies. And that's clearly with the organization and no one else. I love that Damian found his way out of hell, though, because at the end of the episode, he right in that closet. So I was like, Damian wasted no time getting out of hell. Was like, oh, well, guess what? I'm still on a mission to prove that your husband is a farce. So, yeah, overall, like, I think the stuff with Mark and Amber is cute, but like, it's kind of annoying to me because I know he's going to break up with her so that he can be with Adam Eve. Like, it's very clear that that's going to happen. And I'm like, oh gosh. Okay. I mean, like, on one hand, I get it though. Like, it's real hard being a superhero dating a non-superhero and lying to them constantly. Right. And like, there's definitely going to be that tension and that friction, but you know, I still kind of want them to be together. And then I think, you know, the last part was pretty interesting. Is Robot making super babies? Is he killing regular babies? You know, we saw him take a bit of blood from Rex, and then he's just, you know, at that vat with that baby, and he inserts the blood sample. And I'm like, so are you building superhero babies or are you killing them? No one knows on this show. It could be both. Who knows? So yeah, curious to see where it goes. So how are you rating this episode?
I'm still giving it a kitten. I enjoyed all these things this week. I like this show. I'm excited to see where it goes. I'm stoked for this. Yeah. Okay.
I'm giving it a kitten. Yeah. Great. I'm giving it a kitten too. Like, I actually had a really good time with this episode, even though it was a little bit slower paced than we're used to. I'm still like, well, you know what? I adore Mark and the Graysons, and you know, it's wild. And next episode can only be wilder. And ironically, the Mars stuff, I was just like, meh, for me, you know. I was more intrigued by, like, come on, guys, what's happening on the ground with Damian and you know, Cecil and everyone. But yeah. So what do you predict is gonna happen in episode 5, which is just 2 sleeps away?
I'm not sure about the next episode, but I do believe that the season is going to end with Mark going up against his dad. Like, I think that's where we're building to, is a big showdown between the two of them.
Yeah, I definitely think that Mark is going to realize that his father is not who he portrays himself to be. But I am curious, though, because I still stand by my theory that there is something off with Nolan, and I don't necessarily think it is just him. I still kind of think there could be some sort of, either it's someone else pretending to be him and he is, you know, kind of captured somewhere, or to your point, I think you had mentioned mind control at some point. It does seem very off, and normally I do trust Debbie's judgment, you know, so I'm not 100% sold that this is just who he is. But child, maybe it is because people wear a lot of masks. So,
Absolutely. I think one of the things when you think back to the first episode is we meet him through the episode. This is who he is. And then the episode ends with him killing everybody. And that was when I went, this seems like mind control. But since then, the way he's behaved has been like you all were wrong and didn't know him. And now you do. And so it's interesting how much we want to believe that it's not him.
Yeah. And it's because too, technically the very first scene that we see him in when he saves, it's actually Debbie, when he saves Debbie and the other soup, with the car, he's kind of a douchebag in that scene too, though. Like, actually very much so. So it's like, he's like, okay, well, I did show up. At least you're welcome. Like, it's kind of like, oh gosh, but I don't know enough about Viltrumites to speculate any more than that. So Here we are. All
right. Well, that takes us to our usual segments. Let's start with our Performer of the Week. Who do you have for Performer of the Week this week?
Yeah, I'm going with Emily Van Camp, who I adore from Revenge and also was BA on that show and kicking a whole lot of butt, just like Sharon Carter. So I think she came in and did her thing in this episode and was super killer, and I adored it. So yeah, that's my pick for the week.
I totally agree. I think that she was definitely a standout, and I'm going to be really bummed if that's all we get from her.
Listen, I know that she also is on a TV show. So right. I don't know also that like scheduling worked out for that, to film this or what it looks like. Cause COVID did a lot of things and she is on another show, but we'll see. So who do you have for character style icon of the week? And I feel like we have lots of picks because actually what I did appreciate about this week's episodes, there were a lot of costumes, it was different from usual episodes. So I appreciate that. So who you got?
So from The Flash, I loved Frost and Iris's 70s looks. I think those were so great and so fun. But I also have to give it to Sam from Smiling Tiger in Falcon and Winter Soldier. I think that was just such a fun, loud suit. What about you?
Yeah. Definitely going with Sam as Smiling Tiger from the Falcon and the Winter Soldier because I just thought everything just looked so great and the colors, like I'm actually curious who did the costuming that episode because I thought that was flawless. And then from the Flash, I'm going to go with Iris and Joe. So Iris's 70s gear was amazing. Joe, I loved his suit, but he definitely was not in the 70s and he definitely looked like he was in Who Framed Roger Rabbit, which also is like a hidden gem of mine. And so I was like, oh, yay. But I loved both of their looks. So I was just like, oh, I'm so excited about all these costuming. And then honorable mention, honestly, will go to Cisco and Chester when they arrived at the high school and they changed into their peak 90s gear. Adore.
I totally agree. And really that outfit that they did, I was thinking about it. And I was like, if they dressed like that, they would have been considered like very stylish because those were very much like the kind of looks you saw people wearing on TV and not like the kind of looks that you would see at a normal high school. You know what I mean? Like that was clearly the most stylish kid at that high school.
Yeah. Like, I mean, impressive. It was very much like the kids that you would see on the 90s TV shows versus like, in real life.
Yeah. It was really, I was like, wow, they showed up and people probably were like, wow, you must be rich. Like that's what I thought.
I loved it.
All right, let's move on to our OMG or WTF moment of the week. What did you have?
Yeah, so they were kind of slim this week. So one of mine would be Robot creating that baby soup or whatever he was doing with that baby, because that was weird. And Robot cannot be trusted, apparently. Next, that T-Rex in the Flash. I love a good T-Rex. I love Jurassic Park, so I'm like, yes, give me all of the 90s references in the Flash. And then I guess one more surprise was when Io showed up from the Dora Milaje in, the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. How about you?
Yeah,
what are your moments?
That was my moment, was IO, because I was not expecting that. And as soon as he was following the beads, I was like, ooh, I wonder who it is. And I was really hoping it was Okoye, but that's fine. I'm cool with whoever we got. I just was very excited for it. So that was my OMG moment of the week.
Perfect.
All right,
Well,
before we wrap
are at
up,
the end.
yeah,
We're
we
at
got
the
to
end.
tell everybody something big. Something big is happening.
That's right.
We are doing a very special episode, not like on this special episode, but a very special episode of Super Lady Hero Hour this Friday at 11:30 a.m. Pacific, which is 2:30 p.m. Eastern. We are going to be talking about Thunder Force, which is a new superhero movie on Netflix, which is coming out on Friday. So check that out and then join us live here. Also, if you want to see the trailer for that, I believe it is in the description below. But until Friday, KB, what are you up to and where can everyone find you?
Just find me on social per usual at the Lady KB, TheLadyKayB. Instagram and Twitter only. Super excited for this live review of Thunder Force, which actually comes out on Friday. So you can watch it and watch us and get all of the scoop and the tea in real time. So what about you, Yell? Where can everyone find you?
I'm everywhere at Yell Teagle. That's YAELTYGIEL. You can check out my after show for Law and Order SVU. We just covered the epic crossover event here on
How did you feel about
Fanversation.
it?
I felt
love it?
great. I loved it. There was a lot to talk about, and you can check that out here on Fanversation or anywhere you listen to podcasts. Also, I do a Twitch stream where I try to play Zelda. And so if you like watching someone try, that's the stream. If you like watching someone succeed, it's not the stream for you.
Oh no.
Yeah. Anyway, that's it. We'll see you Friday for our very special episode, and we'll see you next week on Wednesday for more. Bye.
Bye.